children?
Yes, I do.
Do you know them?
Yes, I do.
And do you send them to school?
Yes, I do.
Why?
For them to gain education, right?
Is that how you gain an education?
There are different ways how we learn these things. Of course, we live in a society whereby, we learn every minute. I'm learning from you, right?
Yes, and I'm also learning from you.
Exactly.
And so when you made the decision to send your children to school, did you think about, maybe I shouldn't?
Sorry again? Come up again.
When you made the decision to send your children to school, did you think, maybe I shouldn't do that?
Of course, no.
So I don't send my kids to school.
Hey, what do you do with your kids? Can I ask her a question on the camera, or we keep her aside?
Amalia, can you please come here for a second? David wants to ask you a question.
Hi, how are you?
about school.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What's your name?
Amalia.
Amalia, just for the camera. Amalia, where do you go to school?
I'm homeschooled
Where?
at my house.
Homeschool.
Yep.
Wow. You mean you're serious?
Yes, very serious. Tell David what your brother's name is
Bob Marley.
and how old is Marley
13.
and how old was Marley when he quit school?
About 10.
In this, are we talking about Bob Marley the late?
No. My son's name
Your
is
son's.
Marley.
Oh.
My son's name is Marley.
Oh, you named him Marley.
Yes.
So he quit the school?
Yeah, he quit school when he was 9.
What made him to quit the school?
He came home from school one day and said, I'm too stupid to go to school.
Too stupid.
And so I said to him, what would you like to do? And he said, I'd like to quit.
At 9?
Yes. And ask Amalia if she's ever been to school.
How old are you, first of all?
8 years old.
Huh?
8.
8 years. Why did you decide just to, go homeschool?
I was 4 years old. I just
Face the camera here. Uh-huh.
I just got out of kindergarten, and my mom just took me out of school. So I've never been to school my whole life.
You've never been to school for the last 8 years?
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
So you don't know anything to do with the classroom?
No.
Welcome to number 1 channel. My name is Davy Chams. I'm joined by a guest here. I'll let her introduce herself to viewers. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, David. How are you?
Just hold my hand. How are you?
My hand was full, sorry.
Oh,
I'm good, I'm good, thank you.
Well. Okay, just introduce yourself to viewers first.
So my name is Susan, and we've just met.
Yes.
And would you like to know the most interesting thing about me?
Exactly. And also know about your culture, where you come from and all that. How long have you been in Kenya?
A very long time, maybe since before you were born, David.
Quite interesting.
Maybe.
Wow. Oh, so you're born in Kenya or a resident?
No. So I used to live in Kenya, and I thought I would never leave. But you know what I did? I married a Kenyan.
Wow, you married a Kenyan?
Big mistake.
Why?
Because if you, of course they want to leave. So we left.
You separated or something?
Well, first of all, we left Kenya, and later we separated. Yeah.
Wow. Why? Okay, maybe it's a long story, or
It's a very long story. It depends how long your vlog is. So I'm from Australia.
Oh, you're from Australia.
I'm from Australia,
Yes.
yes. And quite often when you marry a Kenyan, they want to leave. So I've actually married 2.
2 Kenyans.
Wow.
Wow.
I made the same mistake twice.
Why? What did you? Okay, you didn't realize there's some mistake you're making.
Yeah. No, but look, I have amazing children.
Mm-hmm.
I have amazing children, and I've actually just moved back to Kenya 3 months ago. I've lived all over the world, but my heart lives in Kenya. And so I moved back here 3 months ago. No, not 3 months ago. 1 month ago, with my children, my 2 youngest children, because I actually want them to grow with African values. So I think that there's a lot that the West and a lot that the world can learn from Kenya. So I've created my own organization, which is called Into Ed Africa.
Wow.
And we are about bridging resource-rich and resource-poor to create a more equitable humanity.
Yes.
And we do that through, we have 2 schools, one in Korokocho and one in Kiserian.
Wow.
And my children, my 2 youngest, who are 13 and 8, both run their own businesses, the profits of which contribute towards running the projects.
Wow.
Big wow.
Big one. Don't you
Big
see,
wow.
don't you see like this is a blessing marrying a Kenyan?
Absolutely. So I am extremely grateful
Mhm.
for having married them,
Mhm.
both of them,
Mhm.
even though we're not together,
Mhm.
because my life is amazing.
Wow.
They both currently live in Australia and I live in Kenya.
Hey, this is interesting.
We need a longer vlog.
Wait, okay, how long it will take, but the most important information. Now, one thing I'm just getting interested much is that you married 2 Kenyans
Yes.
and both of them are in Australia. How did they get to Australia? Are you the one who took them there or what happened? Just brief.
Mimi
Just-
ni hustler.
When hustler. Wow, I
Yes.
love this.
Yes.
You're a hustler, I can see.
I'm a hustler. So I actually lived in Kenya for the whole of the 90s.
90s.
Yes.
Wow.
In the 90s, we learned how to hustle.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. So I took them both to Australia. And honestly, I wish them a very happy life.
On a separate occasion or the same time?
No, separately. Very many years apart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very many years apart. And a big part of, like I said, coming back is because in Australia, I only moved back to Australia 5 years ago. And I saw that we have escalating levels of mental health issues, teenage suicide, even the suicide of young people. Our highest cause of death for people under the age of 40 is suicide. And that's not right.
Yeah.
And you can come to Kenya, and I work in Korokocho, I work in resource poor communities, and there's hope,
Wow.
and there's love,
Wow.
and there's joy. Isn't there?
True.
So I really believe that as Kenyans, and I'm the mother of Kenyans, as Kenyans,
Yes.
we actually hold the power to shine that light onto the world. So that's the responsibility I hold.
Wow. I just want to take you back. How did you meet your first love of your life before you separated?
I don't know whether either of them were the loves of my life. I'm still looking.
You're still looking for, so you're still searching.
How did I meet them?
Let's start with the first one.
The first one I met through a mutual friend. And our first date was to a funeral, Kenyan funeral.
Kenyan funeral?
Yes. And then we actually got held hostage in Barclays on Moy Avenue during the Saba Saba riots.
Yes, I remember that, the 90s.
In the 90s. And so that's when we connected.
Wow.
Many, many, many years later. Yeah.
So, how did you like, you're saying, who was the first man to be lucky to be taken to Australia?
That
Going
is the
to
one.
Australia, to many Africans, or let me say Kenyans, it's just a blessing. Yeah. So who was the first man to be lucky?
Yeah,
to
so
be taken?
that was him. That was the
Was
one.
him.
Yeah. And, luck is all about perception.
True.
Yeah, it's really about perception. And another thing that I think we need to start embracing as Kenyans is stepping out of that mindset of the grass is greener.
True.
Yeah, because it's actually a lie. And I have met many Kenyans in Australia who are homeless. Many Kenyans who, even they're into the cycle of social poverty that we have there. We have Kenyans committing suicide. Why are you going to the West to sleep on a street?
True.
Why?
I think it's just a perception.
It's an absolute perception, which is also why I've moved back to Kenya.
Wow.
Because I actually think life is way better here. I think the core values of Kenyan culture and Kenyan society are actually how we want children to be raised.
Okay. So, from the look of things, you've invested much in Kenya. Like, all investments.
My
since-
heart, my soul. So we are grateful.
If you're told today to go back to Australia, will you make that mistake? Will you go back? Because it's a home motherland, yeah?
Be very hard.
Very hard. Yeah?
It would be very hard. My children are still adjusting to being here. They want to go back.
Okay.
It would be very hard. So what I'm actually doing is potentially setting up a life where I can commute between both places.
You've said something, you mentioned something to do with like maybe Kenyans spending nights on streets in Australia or those Western Europe countries.
Yeah.
What do you advise those Kenyans who've never been there, who's just aspiring to go? Because some go there, of course, people go there for different reasons. So what's your general advice to entire Africa?
So one of the things that I'm actually teaching people being here is to, if you're going to go somewhere, you have to be very conscious of why you're going. Because generally my experience is that Kenyans want to go because I think there's a lot of money.
True.
Yeah. But if you're going there and perhaps you have the money, but then you're engulfed with social poverty, surely it's better to appreciate what you have here. I mean, and that's just a core human value, isn't it? To learn to be grateful for what you have, and then good things will happen. But if people are leaving Kenya because they think Kenya doesn't have money, or things in Kenya are so bad or so tough, it's all relative. It's all relative. And so it's actually about shifting into that frequency of being grateful for what you've got and then seeing if the universe is going to provide more, whether that's in Australia, whether that's in Kenya.
Yes.
I think it's here.
Now, of course, many Kenyans, especially with current economy, it's tough. I know you have enough experience. Kenyan economy, how it works and all that. Yes, right now, things are tough for every Kenyan. Commodities prices are hiking, every minute. And of course, Kenyans believe going abroad. It's a land of honey and milk. Is this assumption true?
Well, I think post-COVID, the economies in every country have been torn to shreds. So people in Australia would also claim exactly what you've just claimed about Kenya. But Kenyans don't think about people in a Western country, do they? Yeah. So I think it's also about, if you're going to go, to be really, really conscious of why you're going and what you want out of it. Because there are Kenyans who have become quite successful there. But I think on a deeper level, there's also this value system within Kenyan society that if you've gone abroad, you can't come back if you have nothing. Yeah. And most people, despite what anybody thinks, and it's also a topic that not a lot of people talk about, most people in Australia are hand to mouth.
Most of them.
Most of them. So you might earn $50,000, but you might spend 60.
Wow.
Yeah? Because of the cost of living and because of the expectations there.
Okay.
So when you're asking about homelessness, like I recently met a Kenyan man on the streets in Adelaide, and I said to him, let's go back. He's like, no, I can't go back, and I will never go back.
Because of that?
There's a stigma here. And there really is, isn't there?
True.
There really is a stigma here that if you are coming back from abroad, you have to come back.
Sort of fresh.
And you have to have a lot of things.
Exactly.
And generally they don't. I mean, if we look back, even in the last, say, 40 years, Kenyans who went to America, very few come back.
True.
Do they?
They do.
And even for myself, like as a Westerner, bringing my children back to raise them here, very few Kenyans who are abroad do that.
Exactly.
Very few.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't know any. If you're a Westerner and you marry a Kenyan, then you might stay, but lots don't. They actually leave to raise and educate their children in a Western country.
Okay. There is this one thing going on right now as we speak about GLDP something,
Uh-huh.
in Kenya right now.
Alphabet.
It's a topic, yeah?
Yep.
And it happens that most Kenyans believe that it was brought by westernized life, yeah? What's your take on this?
Well, I'm far from an expert. Um, I actually study this lady who is a West African shaman from Burkina Faso. And in their culture, they believe that homosexuality is a high point of spirituality, and that those people are quite mystical, and they teach us lots of things that we need to know about ourselves, perhaps biases. So I'm a bit of a believer, if I go back to the conversation about the Kenyan husbands, I'm a believer in the fact that I drew them into my life to activate what I needed for myself, to heal things about myself, and perhaps it's LGBTQI community. Perhaps they're actually here to teach us what we need to know about ourselves. Because even if we're looking at the Bible, and or how do we love your neighbor or love thy brother, no matter what,
Yeah.
it's hard.
Hey,
It's really hard because our prejudices come in and our biases come in and our ignorance comes in. So if we look at that as an opportunity to learn and grow for ourselves, they're actually not going to disturb us
true.
if we don't want them to. Apologies. Yeah.
Now, you see, about the same, Africans, especially Kenyans, as by understanding Kenyans culture, we believe homosexual is kind of a curse. It's a bad omen in society.
Mhm.
And it's a topic, it's a hot topic actually currently. Even the president has just spoken few hours as he speak,
Okay.
condemning it.
Okay.
And many people across the country are talking of the same. Does this thing, like, people from, let me say Westerners, take it like a norm or something? Because, Africans, there is a way they handle it. There's a way they believe. And they understand you've been in Africa long enough, married, and all these years, you understand African culture. Is it like in Western countries, they take like a norm or something?
I think, and as I said, I'm far from an expert, but I think in the West, the legalization or the process for the LGBTQI community, it has evolved over many, many, many years. It's not something that just happened overnight. And so that's the same thing that's happening here. But I think it's also mindful to just understand, why is it that we are condemning these people? And if we look to somewhere like South Africa, okay, if you and I were in South Africa, we couldn't be a couple because Black people were persecuted, and that's happened all over the world. Yeah. So I think, like I said before, it's about us looking within ourselves to ascertain our own personal biases. And I think in Kenya, generally, and this is very, very general, men are particularly concerned when it comes to that topic of homosexuality because they automatically connect it to sex.
True.
Automatically.
Yeah.
Yes? And if we actually just look at it from a perspective of unconditional love, perhaps that will shift everything. Perhaps it would. Because in our churches, we're still preaching love thy neighbor. But are we saying, well, love thy neighbor unless they're homosexual? Or love thy neighbor unless they're Black? Or love thy neighbor unless they're white? You get my point, yeah?
I get your point.
You get my point.
Okay.
This was a 2-minute.
I'm a media personality. I don't want to take sides, but
Oh, you
It's
are?
a-
Where's this going?
I'm a media personality. Okay, I personally condemn that.
Why? Maybe I should interview you.
Okay.
Good Jesus.
Oh,
standing and filming.
the thing is, okay, we Africans, we believe where we were born, things have to happen, naturally. Yeah, you understand? And it's like a man has to marry a woman, and a woman has to marry a man.
Mhm.
So we believe in that.
You believe in it because you've been fed
and
it through a
biblically.
Christian paradigm. Seriously, you believe in that because you've been fed it through a Christian paradigm.
Let me ask you a question.
We got to know each other very quickly, Davy.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Like, do you support homosexual?
I don't know whether I even have an opinion on it. I really don't know because I think that, if I go back to apartheid in South Africa, do I support that? No.
Apartheid is totally different, yeah?
It's still about the persecution of a group of people.
Yes.
Apartheid is a persecution towards a group of people.
But politically, right?
Okay, politically, but there's all sorts of apartheids, and perhaps this is one,
How does it connect?
because it's connected into whether or not a person is persecuted politically or sexually, or they're still being persecuted.
Yes, even in Uganda, the president banned that thing and, just sent the bill against it.
Yeah, it's usually coming from a place of fear, isn't it? It's usually coming from a place of fear. It's a fear that these people might unbalance the ideologies that you're talking about, that we've been taught to believe are true. That's our fear. So perhaps if we open conversations, which I guess is where what we've evolved into now in Australia, when we open conversations with those people, they're actually no different.
Okay.
They're no different.
How is it in Australia?
So we've had some laws passed in the last few years that have made gay marriage legal, and it just is what it is. It is what it is.
Where? So
But
in Australia, the law is, the law is passed. A man.
Yeah, but that was not that many years ago. Like, it's been a very, very long journey.
So you mean in Australia, homosexuality is legal,
Yes.
officially legalized?
Yes.
Wow. This is amazing, man. What do you tell Kenyans about this?
About homosexuality.
Yes.
It's like I'm saying to you, people who are different give us the opportunity to reflect on who we really are. So it's about internalizing that. So if I'm judging somebody who's different, that's a conversation I need to have with myself. Why am I judging them because they're different? And then, and I really believe that this is the tool that will take us to a point of peace. When honestly, they're not going to, if those sort of people are not the sort of people that you want to be around, you don't have to be, but maybe they'll give you some very valuable lessons about yourself, like my Kenyan husbands did.
Wow.
Wow, David.
Amazing. Let me ask you a question now.
Another one?
No, let's jump on another different thing.
Okay.
Back to your two hobbies.
Oh gosh, no, let's get off them.
We get off them, eh?
Yeah,
Because,
yeah,
okay.
they're
Let
very
me not. Okay, take you back. Memories.
No,
let's
we
talk.
still love them.
Yeah.
They're okay.
I just wanted to ask you
Mhm.
maybe one word for them for that camera. Or we.
Oh, for those
just-
husbands?
Yes.
Are they going to see this?
No,
That would be bad.
It will be bad.
No,
Well,
it will be fine.
It will be fine.
Because we have a lot of gratitude towards them.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that would be fine.
Mm.
So they know I'm very grateful for the experience that they offered into my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want to tell you something, David.
Yes.
Do you have
please.
children?
Yes, I do.
Do you know them?
Yes, I do.
And do you send them to school?
Yes, I do.
Why?
For them to gain education, right?
Is that how you gain an education?
There are different ways how we learn these things. Of course, we live in a society where we learn every minute. I'm learning from you, right?
Yes, and I'm also learning from you.
Exactly.
And so when you made the decision to send your children to school, did you think about, maybe I shouldn't?
Sorry again? Come back.
When you made the decision to send your children to school, did you think, maybe I shouldn't do that?
Of course, no.
So I don't send my kids to school.
Hey, what do you do with your kids? Can I ask her a question on the camera, or we keep her aside?
Amalia, can you please come here for a second? David wants to ask you a question
Hi, how are
about
you?
school.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What's your name?
Amalia.
Amalia. Just for the camera. Amalia, where do you go to school?
I'm homeschooled.
Where?
At my house.
Homeschool.
Yep.
Wow. You mean you're serious?
Yes, very serious. Tell David what your brother's name is.
Bob Marley.
And how old is Marley?
13.
And how old was Marley when he quit school?
About 10.
In this, are we talking about Bob Marley the late?
No. My son's name is Marley.
Oh.
My son's name is Marley.
Oh, you named him Marley.
Yes.
So he quit the school?
Yeah, he quit school when he was 9.
What made him to quit the school?
He came home from school one day and said, "I'm too stupid to go to school."
Too stupid.
And so I said to him, "What would you like to do?" And he said, "I'd like to quit."
At 9?
Yes. And ask Amalia if she's ever been to school.
How old are you, first of all?
8 years old.
Huh?
8.
8 years. Why did you decide just to, go homeschool?
I was 4 years old. I just
Face the camera here. Uh-huh.
I just got out of kindergarten, and my mom just took me out of school. So I've never been to school my whole life.
You've never been to school for the last 8 years?
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
So you don't know anything to do with the classroom?
No.
Are you dumb?
No.
Are you super intelligent?
No.
Yeah.
So, this is overwhelming, man.
This is very overwhelming. We need to break this into segments.
Exactly. Now, maybe the last one before I release her.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like going to school one of these days?
Nope.
What did you do to your child?
So ask her what she does instead of going to school.
Why?
I have my own business.
Just face the camera. Eh?
I have my own business.
You have your own business?
Yeah.
What kind of business is this?
Candles and soaps. And I'm also a fashion designer.
You're a fashion
Designer
designer.
and model.
What?
We left David speechless.
What? So let's say if mom decide to go back to Australia, living, in Kenya on your own, will you run that business?
No.
Yeah, that's the reason why we're here. We're actually here to build their businesses.
Well, I'm very much grateful now. That's all. Let's just wind up. Let's just wind up with mom. Thank you so much, Amalia. And you said you are okay.
Amalia.
Homeschool.
Yeah. Her business is called Amalia Malaika.
Amalia Malaika.
Yes.
Okay. What do you do? Would you like to tell people to come by? Something from your business. Just tell people there on that camera.
Come. My mom will tell you guys my website, so make her buy a lot of stuff. Everything.
Thank you so much, Maya. And say hi to Bob Marley. Isma?
Marley.
Say hi to Marley.
Yep.
Yeah. Your brother, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, as you wind up.
As we wind up. Our 2 minutes.
Well.
Mm-hmm.
I know you have 2 children, right?
No, I have 4 children.
4 children.
The first 2 I adopted as babies from Kenya.
Oh, from Kenya.
Yes.
And then these 2, eh?
And then these 2.
Okay. How are they doing? Do they also run business?
Yes. My 18-year-old, who I adopted from Missions of Charity in Huruma, she now runs a project to eradicate period poverty in the communities that we work in. So she's a public speaker, and she raises money, and then she employs ladies here in Kenya who make washable sanitary pads.
Wow. Amazing. Maybe last words to your clients. I know you have clients.
Last words to my clients. Or perhaps if you're interested in looking a bit more into our ideology and a bit more into what we do, our website is intoedafrica.org, and there's lots of information about the kids and what we do and how we do it on the website.
Wow.
David needs a Panadol.
Actually, this is amazing. This is overwhelming. Where? And now, how would they? Okay, in case they wanna reach your business, because I know, how would they reach you? Maybe social handle,
Yeah. So we are on Instagram at intoed_Africa. Same on LinkedIn, website, and yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I've learned a lot. Imagine, I've learned a lot, and I'm so grateful. Actually, I need to call you to my studio,
Sure.
so that you come and we talk more.
No
You're
problem.
just brilliant lady. You're just amazing.
Oh, well, I'm glad we met. I'm actually mentoring a group here. That's why I'm
Really?
here today, the musicians. So I'm doing some business and entrepreneurial coaching with them so that we can teach artists how to earn an income.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. Guys, I hope you've learned a lot, and this is amazing. This is one of the best things I've ever done. So if you're watching this for the first time, maybe on this channel, remember to subscribe, give a video a like. Let me know something down in the comment section about this amazing lady. She has a lot. And she's just wow. So guys, see you next time. I've been your host, Davy Chams. Keep it locked. Bye.